This is where the fun begins, Knicks fans. The Knicks are taking on the Boston Celtics Monday night in Boston for game number 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. We got past the Detroit Pistons as we expected. It was a little more tough than I think we expected. I got to give all the respect in the world to the Pistons. That was a awesome series, great NBA basketball. But now we gotta talk about this Knicks-Celtics series in this video. I want to give you guys my preview, my prediction, what we can expect as Knicks fans, all of the things we're hearing in the media right now. Everybody's giving the Knicks no chance in this series. So I want to give you guys my thoughts before we go into game number 1 tomorrow night. Make sure you guys subscribe to Knicks Media if you're new. Hit the like button as well, and let's get straight into business. Comment your thoughts and your predictions on where the Knicks are going to go in this series. Will they win the series in how many games? Will they lose in how many games? Let me know in the comments down below. So the first thing I want to talk about is how literally every single person in the NBA media and every fan base is expecting the Boston Celtics to win this series. And listen, I understand why. The Knicks have not beat the Celtics one this past season. The Knicks have lost 7 of the last 8 games against the Boston Celtics. And also, Boston is the reigning champions, right? They are the favorites to come out of the East right now, and I think they're favored to win the whole thing all over again. They're that good, they're healthy, and they are a team that is going to be very tough for the New York Knicks. But the one thing I wanted to say in this video which is the reason why I wanted to make this in the first place, is that this Knicks team thrives when they're counted out. And that's no guarantee the Knicks are going to pull off the upset and win the series. But there's a lot of people even doubting the Knicks going into Detroit. The lack of respect. We heard Cade Cunningham is the best player heading into this series against the Knicks. Give me a break with that nonsense. You know JB heard that, and you know he had to go out there and do what he did all series long. 4 straight 30-point games, had an off game, game 5, but then came out there in game 6 with 40 points and the most historic game-winning shot in Knicks history that we saw. Shout out to JB. And also JB talked about it in the most recent episode of his podcast with Josh Hart, that going into game 6, there's a lot of people doubting the Knicks. They're not going to be able to go to Detroit and win the series there, and they thrive when they're counted out. They thrive off of losses. And I think that really shows you the mentality of this team. Like, all right, no one's got us in this series. Let's go prove the world wrong. And what better way to put Jalen Brunson and this entire Knicks organization on the map from a respect standpoint, to be competitive and, dare I say, beat the Celtics in a playoff series to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in a while. So it's not going to be easy. There's going to have to be a lot of things to go our way. So let's talk about it. How can the Knicks pull this off? Because I know even Knicks fans are going into this series with expectations of losing the series. And I get it. Trust me. The Knicks are not expected to win this series, but it does not mean it's impossible. We've seen things happen in the sport world where underdogs come out on top. And I feel like the Knicks do have what it takes to pull off the upset. I really genuinely believe in Jalen Brunson, in this roster, but it's all about if they're able to level up their games to new heights, right? So the first key is going to be Jalen Brunson, of course. Is he going to be Superman? Is he going to be the superstar that we saw in Game 6 all series? Because I'm here to tell you guys, we're not winning this series against Boston without JB putting up 30, 35, and sometimes 40 points and hitting those clutch shots late in the fourth quarter, because the Knicks go as Jalen Brunson goes. I really believe that. And that's no disrespect to guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Hart, and all the guys around Jalen Brunson. But when JB is on, the Knicks are really difficult to beat, especially when he's just in that tunnel vision where in the clutch, he just turns into the clutch player of the year that he is. So shout out to JB, of course. But he needs to be on his A game and play like the superstar that he is. They're going to put a lot of size, a lot of defensive looks that he's probably never seen before. And Boston probably saved a lot, right? Boston is a very experienced team, and it's a completely different animal against the Detroit Pistons, for example, right? The Pistons were inexperienced. Knicks fans felt like we had the edge because they've never been into the playoffs in a while, but this is the complete opposite, all right? Boston is the most experienced team in the Eastern Conference in the NBA postseason. They just won the championship last year. They've had the same team for years to build chemistry, continuity, so this is going to be a tough ask for this Knicks team to pull off the upset. But I feel like when you look at what makes Boston so great, the Knicks have to replicate that in their own way, and that's playing together. Boston is so good of having their two superstars in Tatum and Brown, and then having White and Holiday and Porzingis, all the guys play on a string. And I do think we've seen the Knicks in the regular season show glimpses of that. So I really do think it comes to guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby defensively. How are they going to be able to match up against Tatum and Brown? Because I thought the Knicks defense against Detroit was fantastic all series long. I really do think that. Their ability to shut down Cade Cunningham and limit the players around him was fantastic, which is why they were able to win the series the way that they did. Obviously, we wish they swept them or 1-5, but at the end of the day, weird things happen in that series. I think we can all agree with that one. But I do feel like in this series, it's going to be tough because Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, they're on another level of Cade Cunningham. That was Cunningham's playoff debut in his NBA career. These guys are seasoned vets, seasoned stars, and I think that's going to be the key, but you can't forget about guys like Kristaps Porzingis who can just pull up from downtown. Like, there's a lot of stories in this matchup to be excited about, whether it's Cat and Porzingis being the first overall pick to Minnesota, Cat was, Porzingis being drafted by the Knicks in the same exact draft class, okay? So that's something to watch out for, and Brunson and Tatum, I believe, faced off against each other years back in like the high school days. So there's a lot of cool things in this series to look out for. And of course, the New York versus Boston rivalry between the fan bases, it's going to be absolute war out there. So Jalen Brunson playing to his superstar level. The defense going after the three-point shooting against Boston is going to be interesting. The first game of the season, and I know every Knicks fan remembers this, the Celtics tied the NBA record of the most threes made in a single game. They almost broke it. They almost did. There was like 7 minutes left in the game, and they went ice cold and did not hit another three-pointer. I think they had 29, and that's what makes Boston so good. They have their entire team shoots like 40% from downtown. So you can't focus on one individual from beyond the arc. You got to be able to rotate and stay in communication, not sag off, get a hand in every single shot, and play really good defense, because I think that's going to be the difference of this series is the defense. And Boston's defense is fantastic. It's consistent. It always has been and always will be. The Knicks defense this year, it's been up and down, and that's been the struggle of this Knicks team. And we have Tom Thibodeau, so we're expecting the defense to be there. But at the end of the day, I really do think that's going to make or break this, because I expect this Knicks offense to penetrate the Boston's defense and have those games, and Jalen Brunson and Cat doing his usual great things offensively, but how are the Knicks going to be able to contain Jason Tatum, who's averaging around 30-plus in the playoffs, contain Brown, contain Porzingis, and limit them to their abilities? And I think what we've seen against Detroit, the Knicks really, really are good at forcing turnovers and getting points off turnovers. And I don't know if Boston is going to be turning the ball over as much as Detroit was. I think the moment got to Detroit at times, they started fumbling. They started just like spiraling out of control. The Knicks took full advantage of it because of their inexperience. But that's not going to be the case here. The Celtics are very experienced in these positions, so they know what to expect. And the last note is this is going to be a series of runs. I mean, the sport of basketball is a game of runs, as you guys know. But this series in particular, man, when Boston goes on there an 11-0 run, the Knicks got to respond. We cannot get blown out. Like, I really hope this is competitive basketball on both ends, because there was no blowouts in the series against the Pistons. The only blowout you can say was the fourth quarter in game number 1. The Knicks won convincingly, but then every single game after that, it was competitive down to the wire, and Boston's a different animal, so I'm hopeful that the Knicks can withstand their runs. When the Celtics go on their inevitable run, can the Knicks respond? And we saw them do that against Detroit. The Knicks started off the first quarter in game 6 up by like double digits, and then they're like, all right, let's take it and let's blow them out. Nope. All of a sudden, you look, it's halftime, Beasley hits a buzzer beater, the Pistons are leading, right? So it's a game of runs, and the Knicks got to be able to go on theirs and stay within themselves. And the last thing I will say is, who's going to be that star next to JB to wake up? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Karl Anthony Towns? Because we're going to need Cat to put up consistent numbers, 25 every single game. He's been in and out this series. You know, he had that clutch shot. What was that, game 4, I believe, in Detroit, or game 3, one of those games, where he just hit crazy shots, fading out of bounds. Karl Anthony Towns has to be consistent in this series every single game, impacting this game offensively. We need 25 a night from Karl Anthony Towns, We need Mikal Bridges to have a game like he did in Game 6 throughout the entire series. We need OG Anunoby to wake up. This is the opportunity where we need the entire roster to start living up to their potential. And if they do, I really think this series is going 7. And it's going to be very competitive down the wire, man. I really believe that. If Mikal can play the way he did in Game 6, if OG can play the way that he did at that point of regular season where he was balling out, if JB keeps doing what he's doing, if Cat can continue to show who he is at its highest and play like that consistently, Mitchell Robinson's impact off the bench, if Deuce can get clicking, we know the potential of this Knicks team, folks. But the question is, are the Boston Celtics going to take that all away because of their elite defense and their ability to just blow teams out with the three-point shooting? We shall see. I'm just really excited for the series. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be arguably the best series out of all the series in round number 2, just from a competitive standpoint. Physicality, the intensity is going to be there. The rivalry between New York and Boston, I cannot wait for it. I'm going to sit here and say Knicks in 7 just because I am not picking the Celtics in a series, right? Even if I know it's a long shot and I know that we're the underdogs and I have all the respect in the world for Boston from just, NBA basketball perspective. Hate the Celtics, hate the city of Boston as a Knicks fan and New Yorker 100%, but I understand what we're getting ourselves into. It's not going to be easy, and the Knicks got to get a lot of things going their way in terms of their players leveling it up. So Knicks fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments of your preview of the series. Do you have the Knicks winning? I think they're going to win one of the first 2 games in Boston, whether game 1 or game 2. And I think it's going to be 1-1 going into MSG. I expect that to split as well. I think the series will be 2-2 going into game number 5 in Boston. I think the Knicks are going to win that game in Boston, go to game 6 at Madison Square Garden, lose game 6, go to game 7 in Boston, the Knicks win it in Boston in 7. That's my prediction. You guys let me know yours down below. I'm manifesting it. It's the best thing I can do, folks. Let's go Knicks. I'm just still on a high from that game winner Jalen had. I mean, I got to be honest with you guys. So cannot wait. Let's go Knicks. Hit the like button, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.